All right, we're live. It's Friday. It's June 24th, 2016, 8 o'clock in the morning. My dogs are barking, and I don't mean that in the sense of my feet. I mean that very literally. Let's flex those muscles. Let's stretch. Let's get excited. We've got a lot going on. We're going to be talking with Ryan from Chargeover. But first, we got to answer some questions. And actually, Ryan, some of these questions I can already see are going to be for you anyway.
Awesome. Cool. Are those questions I can see, or do you want to just...
I'll read them off to you. That's probably the easiest.
Cool.
And then I love Kathy. Every week, Kathy just puts what in the question. Let's see. No question. Excited to learn more. More Chargeover questions. And Gina says, what's up with the complicated registration? Adam, why is it so complicated?
It's complicated. Click.
You're muted.
Who?
What's up with the complicated mute button?
Too complicated for me. I don't know.
What was complicated?
No, it was an extra step this time. I've never had to click a key to register or
I know, because I had a plain text link to register and I hated it. It was just so ugly. It was like it reminded me of Craigslist, and I was like, I need to do better. But now you just click into the Chargeover post or whatever post it is that we're doing the show for.
I know. But like above my eyesight and below my eyesight, if I have to scroll down to do something, sometimes I don't always see it.
Gotcha. All right, well, I'll have to work on that. I want to make sure it's easy for everyone.
User experience.
Seth, everybody has to be happy. Everybody.
I know, I have to make everyone happy. That's my mission in life.
Good luck.
Next question. Do I think Intuit will eventually sell a QuickBooks desktop like they did with Quicken? No, I honestly think, if anything, ultimately it'll just phase out because more people will just start going to QuickBooks Online. And Sarah, thank you for bringing an extra guest with us this morning.
He loves this hour.
We love having him. He's awesome. I just love him.
Ralphie knew he was coming. That's what Ralphie was barking about.
Yeah,
Mine's like, walked off.
Here's what's more money, Sarah.
Mine is still ticked off at me for traveling so much. She's just like...
So, Ryan, I got to say, after reviewing all of the questions, this is a first. Almost all of the questions were actually for you. Usually, I mean, of course, that opportunity is always there.
Aren't they supposed to be?
No, usually I get some interesting questions like, what's your favorite flavor of ice cream? Where would you like to travel?
You don't have time for that.
Ain't got no time for that. No, but usually they're much more fun. Not that it's not fun to ask questions about Chargeover.
Okay.
But usually I get some. The whole point was a random question. Although I love the fact that, and actually that's the point I'm actually making and underscoring, is I love the fact that actually we have questions about Chargeover. So without further ado, how do you spell
random questions are welcome as well too.
Yeah, so we'll take the random questions, but we'll definitely take the Chargeover questions. So Ryan, why don't we start with you? Just tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do, who you do it for.
Cool. Awesome. My name's Ryan. I'm a co-founder at Chargeover. We're based here in Minneapolis. Coming to you live from Minneapolis today. And we built a subscription billing app almost 6 years ago, and for some internal purposes for myself and a co-founder, another co-founder of Chargeover. And about 3.5 years, we decided to shift our focus to deliver that application as a full-time gig. So we took on our first paying customer about 3.5 years ago, and we're a small team, but we provide great support and really look to connect with the customers. So our app will manage subscription, kind of recurring invoices, and we go much, much further than the sort of built-in functionality of memorized transactions and recurring transactions in QuickBooks Online.
Cool. Okay, and so the obvious high-level question is, where did you see a problem that needed solving? What led you guys to develop the app? So, somewhere along the way, somebody said, there's a problem here, I need to solve it.
Yeah, so it was kind of interesting. These were both problems that I faced, and then my co-founder Keith as well. I was working for a voice over IP business at the time, and they were generating all of their invoices manually. So they had sort of the sales side of the house in one bucket. They would update their spreadsheets of, okay, company A, Jim's sales company has 10 employees. They have X number of phone lines and their entire package. And then every month, the billing department would go into that spreadsheet, take a look at where everybody's at, and generate their invoices from there. So it was awful from a standpoint of lots of manual work involved to generate those invoices. And then things would get missed too. If the spreadsheet didn't get updated to include 5 extra lines, all of a sudden they're just not invoicing their customers for the service that they're providing them. And Keith, the other co-founder here, was working for a company that was selling custom integrations for QuickBooks. They started to rapidly scale. They were using a payment gateway where they could just enter a customer email address, a credit card number, and a dollar amount, and it would just continue on that schedule. There was never an invoice generated for that. So once declines started to happen and they started to scale really, really big, that process broke down very quickly. It became difficult to see who owed them money, and if a credit card transaction stopped being charged, it was kind of just left hanging out there. There wasn't like a notification of, hey, there's a problem with this customer's billing. You guys need to do something. They just had no visibility into that.
Okay. So, and I'm going to ask you, ready for the hard question?
Yes.
So the hard question is this. So of course there are other solutions out there that I can use to do recurring. I can do WooCommerce subscriptions. We talked briefly on the phone about that, I think. And so what does Chargeover sort of do that makes it different or better? And I think this goes into Katrina's questions, which is what's the best benefit in using Chargeover?
Yeah, definitely. So the best benefit is we're super familiar, with QuickBooks integrations, both on the desktop side and the QuickBooks Online side. We've published a open source development framework to help people and other companies integrate their apps with QuickBooks. So the flexibility that we have there in the integration of pushing data into QuickBooks, I think you won't find another subscription billing application that has the level of integration that we have.
Great. And so does it work with desktop and online?
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
We got our start prior to online even being available and their APIs even being available.
Gotcha. Now,
and then from like a sort of, I'll say one other quick thing. From a customer-facing standpoint, you can get online very, very quickly with spinning up a Chargeover account, having hosted sign-up pages, and connecting to up to 50 different payment gateways that we support. So you can be up and running in a matter of minutes, and you don't necessarily have to set up an entire WooCommerce store or an e-commerce store and that whole checkout process.
Right. What's the so actually you bring up an interesting point. What's like the setup time? How long does it take me to get set up with Chargeover? Like half hour, 10 minutes?
I mean, honestly, like 5 minutes maybe. We can run through that too. I'm
going to have you do a demo for sure in a few minutes. But first, we know that Britain, the UK, has voted to leave the European Union. We want to make sure Canada doesn't leave the QuickBooks Union. Does Chargeover work with QuickBooks in Canada?
Yes, we do. We work with all of the versions, and we support multi-currency as well. So you can run both Canadian and US dollars out of your account.
Beautiful. So there you go, Tiffany. That takes care of Tiffany's question. What type of client would you use this for? Well, I guess clients who have subscription-based businesses, right? Online subscriptions, people like me who sell subscriptions and...
Yeah, totally. So there's a pretty wide market for types of businesses that are using Chargeover, anywhere from homeowners associations that need to bill their...
the monthly dues and rent.
Yeah, monthly dues, rent, whether you're running that stuff on a monthly basis or quarterly or annually basis.
Mm-hmm. Now, and also for those of us who, I know there are not many of us out there, but for the few of us who have like bookkeeping businesses and we want to do things like value pricing where we charge the same amount every month, sounds like a subscription, right? So you could use Chargeover to have your clients sign up for a subscription so you don't have to chase them down every month and say, hey, why haven't you paid my invoice yet? It's after the 1st, and you're supposed to pay me on the 1st of every month, right?
Yes.
So I think that's definitely something to consider. We're all talking all the time about going to value pricing, or I have my variation on the theme that I like to call power pricing. The bottom line is we're charging a flat rate every month rather than charging by the hour. And as soon as you do that, what that really looks like is a subscription, which means Chargeover can come in, it sounds like, and perfectly set us up to be able to get those payments without having to worry about, like too many people still, even after we go to the flat rate. The point is to make sure that we get paid every month on time, the same amount. And what do we do? So then we send them an invoice, and we send them an invoice hopefully 10 days before the 1st so that they have enough time to, get their payment into us by the 1st. And then we get to the 10th and they still haven't paid us. And so we haven't solved the problem because we're still chasing them to get paid, right? So switching to a product like Chargeover to handle your flat rate billing clients sounds like probably a really good idea.
Yeah, so there's a consistency that you get there with Chargeover that sort of alleviates the burden of you having to create those invoices and make sure that they get delivered and followed up on if there's any problems. And what we've seen with some of the pro advisors and accounting firms that are using Chargeover for the exact reason you just mentioned is their growth from starting up with 10 customers and growing upwards beyond 100. They don't have to worry about the billing and invoices. All of that's handled and taken care of automatically. And they can get a notification if something gets real far out of line or past due.
So you mentioned gateways, and that's actually one of Sarah's questions. It says, Chargeover compiled a list of gateways and their fees. By any chance, Sarah's already using authorized.net, adding ACH, another, is that 10,000? I don't really get the question. You lost me on that last part.
No, I already pay for authorized.net, but to add that feature, it's an additional $10 a month.
Oh, $10 because you had, per month. Got it.
For their e-check service, you're saying?
0.75%.
Okay. So would it be helpful for you, Sarah, to have some sort of matrix of fees to look at?
Well, yeah, because obviously she's going to want to shop around and see what the cheapest solution is. And let me ask you this while we're on the subject. Can I use PayPal and Stripe with it?
Yep. You can use PayPal, Stripe, Braintree Payments, Chase Payments. I mean, the list is long. And
because in my experience, unless you're collecting like 20 grand a month or more in credit card payments, then PayPal and Stripe usually make the most sense. These other services claim to be only 2.3%, but then you have your per transaction fees, and that's only on qualified cards, and most of them are actually non-qualified, which gets you up to more like 3.5% or 4%. Add on the per transactions fees and the daily fees and the interchange fees and the Tuesday afternoon fees, and you're up to an effective rate of about 5% with most of these services. Whereas PayPal and Stripe are straight up 3.5%. With PayPal, once you're doing over $3 grand a month, you can check off a little box, and within a day you'll get approved, and they drop you down to 2.3%, and it's just straight up 2.3%, no other BS. So I'm a big fan of PayPal and Stripe until you're doing large volume. When you hit those large volume marks, then you got to switch to something else, because then PayPal and Stripe don't get cheaper and it doesn't become as cost effective. So that's my rant about processing solutions. But maybe this is a good time then, Ryan, for us to get into your demo.
Yeah. So about the payment gateways too, another differentiator between us and other solutions.
Uh-oh. Ryan just turned into a Ryan-sicle.
Ryan.
He froze.
Hey, Sarah. Sarah, do you know that you're typing? You're not muted. You're typing. You were.
Oh.
Oops. No, well, because she unmuted to chime in on the question.
I'm back here. We seem to be stable.
We got you back. Okay.
Cool.
Another quick question before we go into the demo, and this is from James Doty, who registered, but I don't think he's actually here. But we'll ask his question anyway. And it's a great question because talking about using this for bookkeeping and your pricing packages, does Chargeover offer clients the ability to go in and manage their own subscription? So would I be able to have my customers be able to go in and say, you know what, I want to upgrade from the silver package to the gold package?
We haven't exposed that functionality for the customers to manage themselves in the customer portal. That is possible with one of our APIs, but there's some developer stuff required there.
Gotcha.
We haven't seen that there's been enough requests for your customers to suddenly change those plans. Generally, there's a conversation to be had there, or to make sure that they're ready to make the jump. And it's easy enough for you to log into the admin panel and just upgrade them from this plan to that plan. All their information's in the system already. It's just a matter of flipping a switch in the back end.
Got it. And what about canceling? I mean, I assume it's easy if they needed to go in and just cancel their subscription.
Yep, exactly. You can cancel a subscription as well.
Not that we ever want them to do that, but it's one of the complaints you get from customers about these kinds of things in general, not Chargeover per se, is that if they see that it's difficult to cancel, like that's what, if I sign up for a subscription, the first thing I check the minute after I've signed up is how do I cancel in case I need to or want to. And if I don't find out easily how to do that, I get very frustrated as a customer. So as a service provider, I always want to know that my customers don't experience that frustration. That's an important one to me.
Cool.
So, all right, let's do this. Let's take a look at Chargeover. I think that actually answered all the questions that were asked in registration.
Fantastic. So let's see here. I'm new to the Zoom.
So move your mouse over the
Share
Brady
my
Bunch-like screen, and you'll see Share Screen at the bottom.
Got it.
And then it's going to ask you what you want to share. So just choose desktop. Make sure you know which. It's going to give you a preview if you have more than one monitor.
All right. So that is.
And of course, we're going to want to talk about pricing, but I always like to hold off on that until the end. I want to see the amazing app that Chargeover is first. Then we can find out how much you charge for Chargeover.
Cool. So my screen appears to be shared right now.
Yep, we can see it.
And cool. I'm closing down my chat so I have enough space. And if any questions pop up, but feel free to launch them out. So.
Yep, and I can monitor the chat on my end.
Awesome. So I'm logging in to a webinar demo account that we had set up from a presentation yesterday. And we'll also get QuickBooks Online pulled up here, how some of the integration works. All right, cool. Both of those are open.
Somebody's got some background noise going on. I'm going to go through and start muting everyone. So if you do get muted and you need to ask a question, feel free to unmute. Don't take it personal.
All right, so we'll jump into the demo here. First components of getting this set up. I'll change this. We'll set this up from the perspective of an accounting firm. And we'll just update the company name from Tim's Lawn Mowing to so you can upload your logo, and that'll also carry through the sign-up pages. Set up a product plan. We are working to pull in these items from QuickBooks Online, so it'll populate this list with all your items that are in QuickBooks. And we have quite a few different price models to choose from here. This lets you help manage things like if you're going to be billing for hours per month, you can come in here and update their contract based on the number of hours they've consumed of your time, if you're going to have some sort of variable billing. But for the sake of the basic monthly accounting service, we're going to set this up at $499 a month with no one-time setup fee. And so there's that item, which is set up. So every item comes with a hosted sign-up form, which is a unique URL that you can put on your website, add on to your website, email out to customers, and from there they can sign up for that plan. See, I'll chat this out here if I can pop into the chat. Cool. So we'll go ahead and just run through this sign up. We'll see how it creates the subscription in Chargeover and pushes all that information to QuickBooks Online. You have the choice of credit card or ACH payments here. This can be controlled, so if you only want your customers to be able to pay by ACH and remove the credit card option, that's something that's configurable in the Gateways section.
You know, in your experience, Ryan, is that a mistake, or are a lot of clients, let's put it this way, surprisingly willing to pay via ACH? Because I always find that they're like resistant to the idea of putting their account information in.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think if you're offering in the sort of B2B business space, it's a little bit more common to pay via ACH and e-check. And I think if there's only the option to pay via ACH, people are much more likely to just add in their account information. If it's on credit cards and that's available, I think the initial reaction is always just put in a credit card number to pay for your service.
Got it. Okay. Good to know.
So once we hit the sign up now button, what this does is it creates the subscription. It's configured to generate the invoice today and start the subscription on the 24th. So the next time an invoice will get generated will be on the 24th of...
Okay, so hold on. That's an interesting point, because I've obviously looked at a number of subscription-based products, and that's one thing I don't think I've seen before. So I can actually set it up today, but specify that the subscription doesn't kick in until July 1st.
Yeah, exactly. So there's a bunch of flexibility around that. You can bill them a prorated amount for the amount due from today until the 1st, and then on the 1st you can invoice them the full amount for July going forward, or you can just start their subscription today and their renewal date becomes the 24th of every month. So,
okay, so
lots
that's
of
awesome.
flexibility there, centered around prorating and when you're going to start packages and things like that. So coming back over into Chargeover, here's the new customer created for Ryan Bizantz.
Now, and I'm sorry, and if you'd rather I hold questions till later, let me know.
No, go ahead. I mean,
so
fire away throughout the demo.
Because the next question that comes to mind, everybody else, feel free to unmute and ask questions. So it looks like here I'm going in and I'm specifically setting up a subscription for a specific customer, but do I have the ability somewhere to say put a link or like a product on my website where I can invite customers to come and just sign up for my monthly $1,500 plan?
Yeah, that's what we just did. So this customer we're viewing right now is
for some reason I thought it was set up specifically for the customer. Okay.
No, this is a general page. So I put that link out in the chat. If anyone wants to sign up for this, there's a test credit card number of 411111. Go ahead and sign up, and that'll populate in the account and push to QuickBooks, and we can view it live in the demo.
Got it. Okay, cool.
So this subscription, you can see, was invoiced today. The next invoice is going to be created July 24th. The Visa ending in 111 was charged, and the lifetime value of the subscription is $499. So those are the subscription details. Invoice number 3 was created. The balance is 0. The payment was taken already. Here's the test payment. And then here's that credit card that was entered. It's stored in a vaulted system to use for future transactions going forward. And then flipping over to the QuickBooks side of things, here's that same customer, created the customer, created the invoice, entered the payment, and applied that payment to the invoice. And there's the monthly accounting item that we created from within Chargeover for $499.
That is so cool.
So that's kind of, that's the very basic part of it. The only part that I didn't show was connecting Chargeover to QuickBooks, which is a pretty quick process. It's literally clicking the connect to QuickBooks button, entering your login information, selecting your company file, and you're connected.
That's awesome. I mean, simple, right? So yeah,
super simple in its basic, kind of in its basic form. Then if you had another subscription and you wanted to upgrade the customer to, let's say, a so we just created another plan, the Super Monthly Awesome Plan. This page now has its own hosted sign-up form that you can use to put on your website as well. I'll chat this out in case anybody wants to click this link and run through a test sign-up here.
Can you show us what the invoices look like that the customer sees?
Sure. Awesome. I see Katrina has gone through the sign-up process, so here's her subscription as well. And then if we pop over to QuickBooks, we'll see that Katrina's already added in. Balance is 0. Payment was taken, so it all syncs in real time. So there's a PDF invoice that's created, and then there's also an online invoice. So each invoice has its own unique link. You can set up customized email templates that go out to your customers, so you can sort of tailor the message to your brand. Here's what the online invoice looks like. For Seth's accounting service, you can upload your logo. And then there's also a very similar PDF invoice that's created. Let's see if it opens up in Chrome here. And there's the PDF invoice.
Gorgeous. If you wanted to, could you not send the invoice from here and send the QuickBooks invoice just in case somebody likes that template better, or is it always going to send?
Yep, you can do that. And recently, Intuit just added support for being able to pull the PDF invoices from QuickBooks. Mm-hmm. So we'll soon have the ability, if you're using QuickBooks Online, to pull the actual PDF invoice from QuickBooks Online. We can also customize these PDF templates for you if you're looking for something really customized and pull in additional usage information.
And then, Gina has an interesting question. in the event that I had some kind of a subscription that, let's say, included products or something that was subject to sales tax, does Chargeover handle sales tax at all?
Chargeover does support sales tax. You can, we're integrated with Avalara and then another company called Zip2Tax as well. You can also just upload your own tax table information. So you choose whether you're billing based on or charging tax based on the billing address or shipping address. And then you can specify the tax rates in here, which work by country, city, state, and postal code. And then you can include all the different rates for that information.
Now I'm curious, is there any chance of being able to, like, let's say I want to use Avalara for sales tax. Avalara will sync with QBO. Is there a way to kind of make that happen? Because this is great if I'm selling in, let's say, one state, or I know exactly what the nexus is. But what Avalara does really well for sales tax is it figures all that out for me if I'm selling in lots of different states with lots of different rates. Is that possible, or?
Yeah, so that's what the Avalara integration that we have does.
Oh, so you have an Avalara integration. Perfect. That's all I need to know.
Oh, yeah, totally. Yep, already integrated. So every month, on the 24th of next month, when those invoices that we created today are going to be generated, it's going to reach out to Avalara, send the billing, all the line items, and Avalara returns the exact sales tax, and then you get all of their awesome reporting along with that.
Great. That's awesome. Because I noticed you had an area for integration. So now I'm curious, what other integrations are there?
We'll take a peek here. So QuickBooks Online, Avalara. We work with a help desk system. Constant Contact, DocsAway. So if you want to have these invoices mailed out, someone will actually stuff them in an envelope for you and mail those invoices out every single month. And then Salesforce, which is another large CRM one for us, Xero. The Zapier integration is huge. Are you familiar with Zapier at all?
Yeah. Of course, I think a lot of us are. So for those of you who may not be familiar, you can use Zapier to connect. Zapier is an app that's built to allow you to connect other cloud-based apps so that you can, in effect, integrate them and get them to do what you need them to do in terms of what they can do when they talk to one another.
Yeah, like literally anything you want. You could have a light bulb turned on in your house every time an invoice is sent out or paid. So one more area that I would like to cover just quickly here is the email templates and dunning, sort of payment reminders of past due invoices.
Yeah, and while you're going there, just real quick, so the question from Tiffany is, does the tax inflow flow back to QBO? I assume with the Avalara integration, it must.
Yes, it does. And if you're using our built-in tax integration, you can map our tax rates to tax items in QuickBooks.
Oh, here's the interesting question. I guess because Tiffany's in Canada, I guess Avalara doesn't work in Canada. So how does that work? So in other words, if they're not using Avalara, they're just using Chargeover to collect sales tax, can that still flow back to QBO?
Yeah, that will all flow back to QBO. And we have some other tax functions that are sort of more geared towards Canada and some additional taxes that they...
Got it. Okay, so the bottom line is, it sounds like, now that we've asked a few questions about Canada, it sounds like you support Canada pretty well.
Yep, definitely. We have users charging in, I think, probably over a dozen currencies in Chargeover right now all across the world.
So we need some T-shirts that say Chargeover loves Canada.
Awesome. On it. Noting. Cool. So the automated emails that go out to your customers when an invoice is generated, you have an invoice due for your customers that are on net terms. You have a payment receipt for if the instances where payment details are associated with a subscription, payment failed, invoice past due. If the customer canceled by their request, you can automatically send them an email message. Credit card expiring. This is a real time saver. So 30 days prior to your customer's credit card expiring, Chargeover will automatically send them an email letting them know, hey, your card's about to expire. It includes a link in the email that they can click and update their payment information, and that updates their subscription automatically. So you don't even have to worry about reaching out to customers for expired credit card information. Chargeover does that for you automatically before it even expires and that declined transaction occurs. Welcome messages. So you can deliver a customized welcome message at the time of sign up. So we have what's called merge tags. And the merge tags are these funky little curly brackets that are in the subject line and in the body of the emails here. So this pulls in information automatically from their subscription, from their customer account. You can even pull in line items in here. So you can say, hey, here's your invoice for your basic monthly accounting subscription at a price of the price of their subscription, and when their next invoice is going to be generated. So you can deliver a really customized message to your customers that's very friendly, keeps them in the loop, lets them know when their next invoice is going to be billed on, when it's available. And you can fully list all the line items that are on their subscription too. So maybe they're paying for 10 different services and add-ons. You can list all those items right in the body of the email. And the merge tag documentation is all available on our website. There's tons of it at the customer level, at the invoice level, subscription level, and credit card level. And another cool sort of tip is those merge tags can also be used in the line items of your subscription. So you can do something like,
That's a common request in just QuickBooks.
yeah, this is pretty crazy. So you can include a date range on the invoice that's generated every month. So you would go into the subscription and put something in like invoice start date and invoice end date. So every month when that invoice is generated from this subscription, it will fill in those merge tags with the current date of the subscription. So what that leaves you with in QuickBooks is a description that says, hey, here's your invoice for July 1st to July 31st.
Where do you get the syntax for those tags, though? Like, how do you know how to form that?
That is all documented on our website.
Okay.
Yeah. So you can pull in their address date, the start date, the cycle from date. So it's really helpful for quarterly invoices, for example. You can deliver an invoice that says, here's your quarterly association dues for quarter 2 or for the quarter beginning on, month January and ending in this month. You can deliver really customized invoices to your customers.
And for the ones that are one-time invoices and we need to be a little bit more customized, say I have a retainer and I want to apply my retainer. Do I pull up a template and fill it all in and then send it manually?
So are you talking about like the first invoice of the subscription gets?
Well, say it's not a subscription. Say it was a one-time job. They gave me a retainer. We're done with the job and I need to invoice them.
Awesome. Yeah, you can definitely take care of one-time invoicing out of here. Katrina signed up, so we'll go ahead and run a one-time invoice for her. We just hit new invoice, select the line item.
So one of the line items can be apply. Can I do a subtract subtract what they owe based on the retainer?
I'm not sure that that I follow. To put into the description here?
No. Say their invoice is $1,500, but they gave me a $500 retainer. I want to say their fee is $1,500. I want to subtract out the retainer that you gave me.
Oh, gotcha.
Now you owe me $1,000, but accounting wise, I need an item code that's going to go back against my deposits account.
Would you use a discount line item for that, or another line item?
No.
Not ideally, no. So I don't think, Sarah, I don't think this product is really set up for that kind of thing. I mean, it's primarily for subscriptions, and I mean, I'm impressed that you can even do a one-time invoice, but to start getting into retainers and subtracting retainers,
Well, it's really just an item code. I mean, if you're able to use our existing item codes, and I have a service item code that in the back end is pointing to whatever account I want.
A different account. Yeah, you can. That can work. You can definitely do that. Because we can pull those items in from QuickBooks,
Right.
and then I'll show you one other kind of quick thing here.
See, because the product would be deposit. I would also want to charge them for a deposit. Here's your, send me my, let me drop my money first.
Yeah,
Now,
so if
your
you
program doesn't
have an
care
item
about
in QuickBooks, you can enter the name of the item from QuickBooks to map it to a different item in QuickBooks. So you could just enter the QuickBooks line item name there, and that will map it to that item.
Because you don't care where it's posting in my general ledger.
Right,
You just need to know the avenue
right.
to go through an item code. So as long as I can do a negative service or negative anything product,
Yep.
it should work.
Yes.
Awesome.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd love to jump on a demo with you, and we can see how that works.
you can build it for that use case. Because I'm trying to think now, you're still going to have to know when you create that how much of a retainer to deduct. There's no way that.
Do that anyway, yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I was going for, because that retainer was like a prepayment almost. It's already on their account somehow, right?
Yeah. No, that's exactly what it is. Yep.
But my thought is, okay, automate everything that I can automate. But then I have those little one-time jobs I need to do. I want to get my head where I'm always doing my billing and Chargeover versus
Right.
QuickBooks,
Yep, and that's mainly why we have the support for one-time invoices, so that you can handle all the invoices out of
Plus, when they
Chargeover.
use their ACH, I don't have to collect their ACH information or anything like that. I just say,
Yeah, exactly. If they had ACH information stored on file, you could invoice that, or you could just click the send button, send it to them, and they can pay through whatever means they want to pay. All that information is pushed
when
through.
you say your customers, of course, I'm still in the desktop world. I have customers and jobs.
We do support jobs.
Sub-customers.
Yeah, QuickBooks Online has that too. It's so I think, as long as there's integration with the customer list, it's going to integrate with the jobs.
Yeah, totally. Jobs are supported in there. They will show up as customers, separate
Because
customers.
I'm thinking about event accounting, like some people rent space or parking. I have a lot.
Yeah,
of
another common business
They rent out their.
Chargeover.
It's just a side thing they do. We have extra parking spaces. We're going to rent out the parking, and that becomes a real pain. But usually we get it up front. We'll get 6 months up front or 3 months up front. So our invoices are set up to where it's like, here's your recurring monthly fee minus your deposit.
Yeah, you could add those payments into their account, and Chargeover will pull from their open balance and apply those to an invoice. So if a customer has an open payment of $100 on their account, it can generate the invoice, apply the $100 charge, and send the invoice off to them with the balance.
That is cool.
Or just charge them the balance automatically to their credit card too.
That is cool. That I'd like to see. Yeah.
So, and this is brilliant for like even property management, and property rentals, where I can just set my client's tenants up the subscription, or when a tenant moves in, you just generate the, or you already have the monthly rent subscription sort of product set up and have them go on the website and sign up for it. So, and I think this would be a good time probably to start talking about the fees. What does it cost? Obviously, you pay the processing fees with whatever processor you're using, but what does Chargeover cost itself?
So we bill based on the number of active customers that you have in Chargeover. So an active customer is anybody who has a subscription or had an invoice for the monthly period. So you can you can import all of the customers that are in your QuickBooks file, whether you have 500 or 10,000, you're only billed for the ones that are active or have subscriptions.
So you're paying really per subscription or based on the number. It looks like we pay a certain amount for up to so many active subscriptions.
Yep, exactly. And then we have pricing that that carries on, well into the thousands and thousands of subscriptions per month.
Right, and so hopefully you have 100 subscriptions at $499 a month.
Yeah, and what we found is the time saved from not having to sit down and run through that sort of arduous task of creating invoices every month is it's just a ton of time saved there.
All right, anybody else have any questions?
I do, Seth. It's Tiffany. So then we have to pay for the gateway separately?
Yes, you continue to pay your gateway fees that you have already. So if you're currently using authorized.net, that's great. You can continue to use authorized.net. You just plug in your credentials into Chargeover, and Chargeover will process that payment in the back end with authorized.net. All of your merchant fees stay the same.
Okay.
The reason that I first looked at your product is because I do all my own billing. Most of my clients on reoccurring fees. I'm a small company, 3 employees, so it's just one of those monthly chores. It takes me half an hour and I'm done, and I sort of get some satisfaction of going, wrap it, But I've been traveling. So here it was on the 1st of the month, 3rd of the month, and I'm on a ship. I had to buy the Wi-Fi. I didn't have anybody at the office, that could do it for me. Or I get sick or I have a crisis and it's just not automated. So right now I'm still in the desktop world. So that was the first thing that piqued my interest, was how you interface with desktop beautifully. The ACH e-check is 50 cents a piece. So for an example, 15 clients, 1,000 a piece, pulling in 15 grand, okay? It cost me $7.50 to sit here and do it myself. If I use your product, I've got $65, I've got $10 for authorized.net, and I have $112.50 for the fees. So now we're at $187.50. So personally, to automate this and not have my company dependent on me to do all this billing is worth those kind of fees based on what just happened, So I'm really curious to see other options other than authorized.net to see if I can get that price point down. But I don't want to be scared away from a product that works so well just because it might be pricey. But I think part of this exercise is doing a cost analysis, see what other gateways are out there, and making sure that there aren't any surprises. So anyway, I'm very impressed.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, that's why I'm a big fan, like I said earlier, of just keeping it simple. Use PayPal and Stripe until you're processing 20 to 30 grand a month or more. It's just worth it. It's the simplicity, excuse me, of using PayPal and Stripe.
So a benefit of using sort of this intermediary system, like Chargeover with Stripe or something like that, is switching payment gateways is a huge pain.
Mhm.
We have that information stored in Chargeover. So if you grow to a point where you're ready to move from Stripe to some other company, you change one configuration in the back end of Chargeover, and today all of your payments are processing with Stripe. Tomorrow, all of those transactions are now processing with Authorize.net, and you don't have to go recollect all that information from your customers. It's a very seamless transition that can happen right away. So you're totally free to work with any payment gateway that you want, and that's something that was really important to us. We didn't want to. A lot of businesses are already running credit card transactions. We want to let them stay with what they're at and not jump through a hoop of changing merchant providers and going through the whole process.
Now, how far can you take Chargeover with the sort of one-off payments? Because I realize it's built to be a subscription model, but we already talked about how you could do one-off invoices. Let's say I'm processing online sales in a shopping cart. Is there a way to get that? Because one of the cool things I see about this is like right now, excuse me, I take a lot of payments from people for, a one-off, one-time private training session with me, right? Or I have digital products that I sell. It's all processed through Stripe or PayPal, which means each month I got to take PayPal and Stripe, export them to a flat file, and then I use Transaction Pro Importer to import them into QuickBooks Online. Seems to me if I could somehow run those through Chargeover is pushing it to QBO for me, that would save me a lot of time.
Yeah, so we're looking at some integrations with something like WooCommerce and Shopify so that you can actually have a subscription sit in your e-commerce store, and that will flow into Chargeover and into QuickBooks. These plans and products that you set up in Chargeover, these don't necessarily all have to be subscriptions. This could be a one-time.
It would be a subscription. I guess the product would refer to, hey, I've got a one-time sale or something. Like you said, I could do a one-off invoice, right?
Yeah, you could also use this sort of subscription methodology. You can specify the number of times an item should recur.
And just make that one.
It would just be one.
Right.
Then that falls off the description. That falls off their subscription going forward, and it basically just becomes a one-time invoice.
Got it. So, but then that has to somehow be linked to the shopping cart, which then after the purchase delivers them their link that they need to download their product or schedule their session or whatever it is.
Yeah, most likely you would need some sort of integration between the shopping cart platform, which can probably be accomplished with Zapier.
Zapier, I was about to say.
Yeah, you can do some crazy stuff with that, and we've just next week we're actually releasing an updated Zapier integration. We've had so much feedback, and people are starting to do so much stuff with that we added in a ton more triggers and actions. So you're going to be able to do a ton of stuff within Chargeover from Zapier.
Did Keith mention that you were working on a Pro Advisor program?
Yes, we are. So that's currently up at chargeover.com/proadvisors. We're putting that together. We're offering referral commission fees to Pro Advisors. We'll also give any customers that you guys refer us a discount and include your name or your firm's name on the invoices so that so those customers will know they're getting that discount through working with you.
That's nice.
There's a badge that will be available for you to include on your website after you've kind of gone through a couple of overview training videos to sort of understand some of the flexibility around the app.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely you can check that out at chargeover.com/proadvisors right now and sign up. We're going to have some cool t-shirts too coming out.
Hey, we're all about swag around here.
Hey, you know what? Notify gave us tape measures yesterday.
Tape measures?
Well, because they work with a lot of construction. Yeah. Pretty cool. So maybe I'm trying to think what would be like a cool, unique kind of swag for Chargeover.
We have a cool tagline coming out that I can't let out of the bag yet. We'll think about some items.
And then we definitely need an I Love Canada t-shirt for Tiffany here.
Mm-hmm.
I have that noted as well.
All right, 4 minutes left, guys. Time to unmute and ask questions. Speak now or forever hold your charge.
Can we get Ryan's contact information, please?
No, it's private.
Thanks.
Ryan B at chargeover.com is my email address.
I'll post it in the chat.
Cool.
I just have you at Ryan at Chargeover. It's Ryan B?
Ryan B at chargeover.com. I believe either of them.
Yeah, because I've been emailing you without the B, and we've still been able to communicate.
Cool. Yeah,
Must be
Ryan.
Yes.
Yeah, Ryan B is the one that I typically publish out there.
Got it.
And our support that we offer too, I'll just mention that quickly. I mean, it's super important to us. We deliver very, very personalized support. We're a small business as well, and can't stand when we call the large organizations and you got to go through please hold or press 1, 2, or 3 to reach this department just to get to somebody. You call our support line and somebody who knows the application will pick up and answer and be able to help you right away.
I can attest to that.
What about other accounting software integrations? Do you have them?
We are integrated with Xero as well. And there's an integration for Sage Live, which is their new
Right, that's their new small business accounting platform. So not Sage
on the horizon.
Sage Live. And Sage Live itself is still substantially in beta as I understand it.
Yes. We can do automated exports as well to an email address or to FTP sites of CSV information from Chargeover. So we have some really large organizations that are using some very, very big ERP accounting platforms. They use Chargeover just for their subscription piece, and that kicks out a big report that's uploaded into their ERP system and accounted for that way.
How do you integrate with desktop?
The QuickBooks Web Connector,
Connect.
which you may or may not be familiar with, but
The other one's dead now. The synchronizer is gone.
But didn't Keith say that you're working on a two-way sync?
yes, we are working on a two-way sync. You can do a one-time import of information from your desktop or online edition into Chargeover. A two-way sync will be out, so you can create customers in QuickBooks that'll automatically flow into Chargeover, and then you can pay open invoices in QuickBooks, and that will also come back into Chargeover.
When's that integration?
I'm sorry.
Sorry, Tiffany.
When is that integration coming?
That integration will be out by the end of July. Cool.
I'm so happy.
All right, well, Ryan, this was awesome. Thank you so much
Awesome.
for
Cool.
coming out and spending time with us here. This is it's a great app, and I think we will be talking about it as favorably as we were talking about Notify at the beginning.
Cool. Awesome.
No, really, really great app. Definitely, can solve a lot of problems for us. I think it just looks like it really will simplify our lives, especially as we're moving our bookkeeping and accounting businesses into a flat rate priced sort of model. But I love the flexibility that you guys offer, that I can even use it to do essentially a one-off when I need to. So great stuff. Really looking forward to digging in further myself. I don't know about you guys. Sounds like Sarah's already dug in a little.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks. I appreciate it, guys. Automation.
All right. So everybody's got Ryan's email. Reach out if you need anything else. And, did I miss it? Did we talk? Is there a partner program?
That's what I'd ask about.
Okay.
The Flash Advisor.
Sorry, I got a little distracted over here.
Advisor.
Pro Advisor.
Pro Advisors.
Pro Advisor. Okay.
Email me at ryanb@chargeover.com, and I can email you a link or any details or questions that you guys have too.
Beautiful. All right, so we'll see you all next week. We're going to have kind of an open session because it's July 4th weekend. And Sarah's going to talk to us a little bit, Sarah Prevost, not Laidlaw, a little bit about Notify and her experience with it. Sarah P. We'll have Sarah P. and Sarah L.
Yeah.
Sarah P. is going to talk to us a little bit about Notify and her experience with it, and I'm going to try and get them on maybe in a few weeks from now. The week after, we actually have Callbox, who does collections. And so that should be interesting. They actually developed their app at the hackathon at QuickBooks Connect last year, and they were one of the winners. So and it's a really cool, app that kind of will grab your receivables and look at when they're old enough to, want to send them into collections. And they're kind of like the Fundera for collections. You know how Fundera kind of sources lots of different sources of lending to get you lined up with a loan? Well, they do the same thing in the collections world. They've got lots of collection agencies in their sort of toolbox, and based on your business type or your client's business type, they'll find the best collection agency to use. They've already vetted them so that they know these are people who are, who hopefully have some integrity in their collection process, because that's always the biggest challenge, is finding a collection agency with integrity, and those are actually, in my experience, kind of far and few between. So Callbox sort of does that heavy lifting for you and helps you get it. So that's what we'll be taking a look at in 2 weeks from now. And now we've got subscription billing all taken care of with Chargeover. So again, Ryan, I want to just thank you so much for coming out and showing us the app. It just looks awesome.
Absolutely. Thanks, Seth, and happy Friday, everybody.
All right, we'll see you all. I'll see you later at Gina's Hangout.